Hi everyone, welcome back to Around the NAL Episode 2. Today, our show is very simple. We're going to preview some Week 1 regular season action, we're going to recap a little preseason action, and we're going to settle the debate once and for all, am I an idiot? Spoiler alert, I am. Because I'm going to attempt to rank the NAL teams, proving once and for all and removing all doubt that if you Googled the word idiot, this face is what you'd see. Before I get started, let me just say that if you're offended, get out of football, you crybaby. Football is a game of grit, tenacity, and perseverance. You will get hit and tackled again and again and again. So get back up and keep fighting, because that's what champions do. If you get all butthurt that some fake sports journalist with no knowledge ranked you low, then what are you doing in the game of football? You do not have a championship mentality, and you should be cut from your team right now. Besides, in 2021, I ranked the NAS Wranglers of the IFL dead last. Guess who won it all that year? So if I do say that you suck, just remember that I sucked first. Let's get started. Number 6, the Colorado Spartans. Hey, they've probably the most talented roster, but they're probably not. Why rank them this low? Because they're not just an expansion team, they're a brand new team. Sometimes that doesn't mean anything, but my policy is you suck until you prove you're good. And since you haven't been given a chance to prove you're good, I'm going to say you suck. So your players and coaches can have some extra motivation to kick some booty come game day. In honesty, I'm very impressed with the roster that Coach Shaw has assembled, and he's a very good coach. But new teams have a history of struggling in their first year as a franchise, and usually the on-field product follows. But there are exceptions in every case, and the Colorado Spartans may just be one of them. Number 5, the Oklahoma Flying Aces. They were making a ton of really impressive signings. And then I would see some of those same signings on rosters of other teams in other leagues. So I'm not even sure if they're still with the Aces or not, but here's what I do know. Rich Davis is not a pushover, and this team is going to have an attitude of grit. So they could be a force in this league as well, but I rank them here because, well, perhaps they needed a little extra motivation too to say, oh yeah, that guy on Around the NAL, he said such and such, so let's prove him wrong. Actually, anybody can be anybody in this league, maybe. The Aces have a very talented roster, but so does everyone else. If they do make the playoffs, I don't see them winning, but what do I know? I scored 14% in reading comprehension on my SAT test in 8th grade. So I'm the one who looks dumb. Number 4, give me the Idaho Horsemen. Chris Reynolds impresses me. He knows what he's doing in Idaho, and there's some great things I saw from their preseason matchup. I couldn't tell if the Desert Sentinels just had no pass rush or if the Horseman O-line was that good. It looked like Austin Schaefer could binge Netflix in the backfield and after binging, find a talented wide receiver open. So I think there's a lot of upside to this team, but I don't think very many of us are aware of how deep the talent is on other rosters. However, this is probably the best Idaho Horseman team we've ever seen. They could make the playoffs. Let's go to number 3, the Sioux City Bandits. They're always good, always have a good roster, always provide a good time, always have Irv Strobe. Death, taxes, and the Sioux City Bandits being good. They've got a dude that can sling it, and Brandon Shepard has returned to the fold, and the franchise, who Disney says we don't talk about, with the Taysom Hill of arena football, Mainz or however you pronounce, on the team, and a few returning sluggers in the defensive backfield. The one thing they may not have now that was so dominant last year is a D-line that is so scary they could actually get Congress to do something. But alas, without Dejon Emery and Claude Davis on the D-line, I'm afraid that Congress is going to continue to stick it to us. Let's go to number 2, the Kroma Beef. Their undefeated season last year was impressive as they glided through the playoffs, smoother than kids with olive oil on a slip and slide, but I don't think it will be as smooth this year. Perhaps in the regular season will be a breeze for the rerun of the Tommy Armstrong and Mike Tatum show. Losing a few key defenders might actually be the reason the Beef don't repeat another undefeated season. And perhaps I'm just full of intestine goop and really don't know what I'm talking about, which we might all agree is the more likely scenario. But I think we can also agree that the Beef are very much contenders for the championship. I ranked them number 3 last year, and they haven't lost a game since, so... Which leaves us with the obvious number 1, the Carolina Cobras. They've gone to 2 straight NAL championships, and really their roster doesn't look like it went down any. Brandon Negron, dude, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Coach. Give me a call, tell me how it's pronounced so I can get it right on future shows. Let's go, Brandon. Look, he's a great coach, and he has assembled what looks like the most complete team in my uneducated, opinionated opinion. The versatility of the receiving corps is ideal for the indoor rules that the NAL has now. With 2-man in high motion, the jet sweeps, the James Summers and Adam Smiths and Kendrick Eames, and a kicker in Didio Weber whose leg alone can be a complete game changer that will win the close matchups in the playoffs. And I'm trying my hardest to sound like I know what I'm talking about, but alas, it's not working. To your teams that I rank low, please do not hate me. And please come on the show later in the year for some interviews because I want to hear your story, and I think everybody else does. I think that what you're doing, the entertainment value that you provide is so awesome, and we want to hear your story. So please don't be so offended that you're going to be like, no, I'm not going to go on around the NAL, that guy sucks. Because I've admitted from the get-go that I do. So come on. Let's go to some week 1 predictions. My prediction for week 1 is that I feel really bad for the Oklahoma Flying Aces because the exodus of the Bulls and Tropics caused a schedule shift that put the Aces playing on the road this week with a shortened time at camp and no preseason game to polish their product. It is so admirable of the Aces to do this. But alas, because they haven't had a chance to get rid of preseason rust, it might be evident in this first game. So I'm taking the Sioux City Bandits with a 57-32 victory as my prediction. Next, we have the Carolina Cobras traveling to the Idaho Horsemen. And what is this, Doyle? Property of Idaho Horsemen, the Cobras. Doyle, you can't do that, man. We're supposed to be impartial. Look, your graphics guy isn't the one supposed to be making predictions. I am. Get it off. Get it off. There we go. Next, we have the Carolina Cobras traveling all the way to Nampa, Idaho. Cobras also haven't seen any preseason action, but a lot of their players have worked with each other before, and they've worked with the coach before, so I don't think they'll have a lot of rust, except to travel that far and be well-rested might prove a challenge for them. Jet lag is a real thing, especially since it's the farthest they've traveled in franchise history. I think it's going to be a lot closer of a matchup than a lot of our East Coast friends think. Thanks to a pair of Didio Weber deuces, I'm taking the Cobras 49-45. And that's it for episode 2, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in to Around the NAL. Join me next time as we recap with some highlights of week 1 action. It's going to be fun. See you next time on Around the NAL.